Welcome to Sci-Fi Buzz. This week we're buzzing around the 51st World Science Fiction Convention, Francisco. A weird new cartoon show for kids and adults, Biker Mice from Mars. Restoring classic sci-fi and horror posters to add thousands of dollars to their value. And some cutting-edge ways to have fun that will blow your socks off. Hey Buzzers, how you doing? Mike Jarek here at Francisco, the 51st World Science Fiction Convention. Now this isn't your typical sci-fi convention. This is a Worldcon. Let me tell you what that means. At Worldcon we're more literary, more artistic. Even though we do take our science fiction quite seriously at Worldcon, we still have time for a little bit of stargazing. You know, if a Klingon goes by, I'll take a look. Some Worldcon diehards actually spend weeks preparing their costumes for the science fiction and fantasy masquerade. Costuming has become a unique art form in recent years, and at this event, both original and recreation costumes are judged in novice, journeyman, and master divisions. Hot sci-fi author Greg Bear loves Worldcons, especially the masquerade.
I love costuming, I love special effects, I love nearly all the aspects that fandom hooks itself into, and have deep relationships in these things. And so I feel that I can never be bored at a convention, and I can never meet people who are boring.
The masquerade is one of the nighttime highlights of a Worldcon. Daytimes are filled with panels. In fact, at the height of Francisco's 5-day event, there were 12 different panels going every hour. Here were leading sci-fi and fantasy authors, scientists, acknowledged authorities, you name it, discussing everything from writers' superstitions to future robot duties to why aren't there more male nudes in sci-fi and fantasy art. Every Worldcon has a terrific sci-fi fantasy art show, and Francisco is no exception. Add to this the workshops, roundtable author discussions, autograph sessions, filking sessions, dances, movies, game playing, author readings, and giant dealer's room, and you've got a small village that operates 24 hours a day. For some, Worldcons are addictive, like these fans.
Hi, I'm Kitty. I'm from Washington, D.C., and this is my 8th Worldcon.
I went to the first one about 1986, which was in Brighton in the south of England. I've been to a few American ones since then.
We came here from Ukraine to see Worldcon, and this is my 3rd Worldcon.
Sci-fi authors and artists are addicted to Worldcons as well, like legendary hard science sci-fi author Harry Stubbs, who writes under the name Hal Clement and paints under the guise of George Richard. This is his 31st Worldcon.
I like talking either to audiences or to individuals, and most of the time that I'm not actually scheduled to speak myself, I'm puttering around either in the art show or the dealer's room.
Popular sci-fi author Jack L. Chalker is always at a Worldcon as well.
Well, I missed 1965. Yeah.
Why have you come to so many?
I've been involved in the social part of science fiction fandom since I was 13 years old, and I grew up in this. This is all us older middle-aged types around here now we're kids together in this. A lot of the people who didn't grow up in it, a lot of the newer writers who don't really understand that this is not an adulation club here. This is kind of a subcultural thing. Can't figure out why their rings aren't being kissed all the time and so on. And of course, that's not what we're here for.
And speaking of authors, at Francisco, the Hugo Awards celebrated their 40th anniversary. These awards are voted on by hardcore sci-fi fans. Here are some of this year's Hugo winners.
For Best Novel are
A Fire Upon the Deep by Werner Vinge. And, I say again, and Doomsday Book by Connie Willis.
Warning, headed for your TV, biker mice from Mars, after this disconnect. Here at Con Francisco, like any science fiction convention, you meet all types. And I certainly have. I mean that in a good way. Ladies, put that gun away. Remember in San Diego a couple of weeks ago, I met this guy who said he wanted to make money while he slept? Boy, I'd like to do that too. Well, here's his concept. This is how he's doing it. He calls it Biker Mice from Mars.
What?
Meet Rick Unger, creator of Biker Mice from Mars, a new cartoon TV series. The high-energy show centers on 3 giant rodents who've come to Earth to battle the evil Plutarchians. With a soundtrack turned up to full throttle, blurring out manic metal tunes, Unger calls his brainchild the world's first rock and roll cartoon.
The reason we call it that is, aside from having a soundtrack that is predominantly guitars, we mix the cartoon in an unusual way. Most cartoons are mixed with dialogue as king. No matter what happens, make sure the dialogue comes through. When we mix an episode of Biker Mice, we really crank the music, even to the point where we sometimes step on the dialogue. We mix it as if it were a music video, and that's made it a most unusual cartoon.
Another thing that makes Biker Mice unusual is the strong interest it's drawing from adults. Unlike the majority of cartoons crowding the airwaves these days, Unger is targeting his show to kids of all ages.
Whoa! Imminent destruction! What a rush!
The way I write cartoon scripts is every 10 jokes, 2 of them should be for grown-ups. And the kids hopefully won't even understand them. The best cartoons always have material in them which are for grown-ups. And I've tried very hard to make sure we stay true to that in Biker Mice.
Although the show has barely had time to build an audience, it's already got its own comic book. And over 125 Biker Mice items will line store shelves by the end of November.
Yep, that's me. I'm the baddest motorcycle mama jamma in the universe. Modest, too.
The pre-hype on these hot rod riding rodents sounds an awful lot like that of 4 tough-talking turtles a few years back.
The Turtles was a phenomenon. I don't know if it's possible that can ever even happen again, let alone with my show. It should do half as well, and I'll be a very, very happy executive producer. I think that'd be great.
Guys, let me tell you something. In this wild and woolly universe of ours, there's only 3 things you can count on. Your brains, your bros, and your bike.
Unger, who is also co-executive producer of Fox's popular X-Men series, has watched many a cartoon over the years. He's come to believe that tossing the right ingredients into the cartoon blender can increase the chances of a surefire hit.
There are certain universal themes, particularly in voice action. You don't always get it right. You strive to get it right. And my own particular formula for doing that is to make sure you have a couple of characters. I think it should always be more than one, because there has to be a relationship between the characters, which is anti-authority, real wise guy, and very funny. And throw in really cool vehicles, and you've got the right idea for a good animated action series. Now, it doesn't always come together the way you hope it does. In Biker Mice, it seems like it has.
I'll be back.
Yeah, well, don't forget to write.
Hi, this is Tim McGinnis from Miami, Florida. I'd like to recommend a brand new software program for Microsoft Windows called Arts and Letters Jurassic Art. This is a full illustration product that includes wonderful range of dinosaur art, pre-drawn, ready to use, great for children to create coloring books and art activities, as well as for dinosaur aficionados to create posters and banners and signs and have a really great time.
We're heading for the cutting edge of entertainment and some unbelievable poster prices. Interactive videos, digital theme parks, high-tech rides. Cutting-edge entertainment that was merely rumored about is now here and ready to send your senses soaring. Musician Peter Gabriel takes you inside his new music video, Mind Blender, with the world's first rock motion theater. But buckle up, it's one bumpy ride.
I think what excites me about this medium, what is new about it, is these things here that I'm sitting on that really convince the brain very quickly that it's actually inside the experience and not outside.
Created by iWorks Entertainment, the portable simulation reactor integrates high-definition television with live-action characters and computer-illustrated creatures. The outcome offers viewers a whole new rock and roll dimension. Currently touring theme parks around the country, iWorks plans to have 7 reactors spanning the country by the end of 1993. Lucky residents of Walnut Creek, California, are actively stimulating their senses at the world's first digital theme park, Virtual World. 2 futuristic adventures, Battletech and Red Planet, pit teams of pilots against one another in computer-generated environments.
I think it's cool. I mean, it's obviously the wave of the future, these interactive games. I like Battletech. My son likes it because you get to kill guys,
Omni Magazine recently said the experience elevates the heartbeat, excites the sweat glands, pumps the adrenaline, and washes euphoria through the veins. Wow! There are currently plans to roll out virtual worlds across the planet, so keep those fingers crossed your town could be next. Not to be overlooked in high-tech heaven is the new ride currently sending up screams at a couple of Six Flags amusement parks. Batman, the Ride, is the most heavily themed moving attraction at the park. The journey starts at Gotham City Park and winds up at the Batcave. With legs dangling, riders are whisked along at 50 miles an hour on an inverted track. That means the train travels on the outside, not the inside of the loop. Currently operating at Six Flags in New Jersey and Illinois, Batman the Ride will also open in California next summer at Six Flags Magic Mountain. That should keep fans of futuristic fun good and busy until the next big high-tech happening comes along. Here at sci-fi conventions, posters are always big business. I mean, people come from all over the world to look at posters, like this guy here. Where are you from?
Yugoslavia.
See? Yugoslavia. Can you believe that? Well, some of these posters are not in great shape, and that's where our next guest comes in, Igor Edelman. In 1976, a Russian-born artist named Igor Edelman arrived in Los Angeles with no money, no job, and little English. 17 years later, this heavily accented film buff is one of the top movie poster restorers in the world.
Complete restoration. What does mean complete restoration?
We visited Igor and his wife Lara at their studio in West Hollywood after hearing he works much of his magic on classic genre posters. Is it hard work for you?
Sometimes hard, not very interesting.
Not hard, interesting.
Hard, but interesting. Very interesting. Some part posters, like this one, very interesting too.
Well, that's a mess over there, is what that is. Though this Birth of a Nation poster looked like a hopeless cause to my eye, Igor said with some careful cleaning, patching, and painting, it would be as good as new. Sensing my disbelief, Igor asked me to watch an assistant patch up the hole in a Batman poster with delicate rice paper. After the hole was patched, Igor's cousin, Mark, painted in the damaged area. When the restoration was complete, you couldn't tell where the poster had been worked on. Though he often has Mark handle the simpler jobs, Igor tackles the toughest ones himself. Well, at least you can read on this one Paramount Pictures, but the rest of it, boy, I don't know what film this was. Where'd you get this?
This is my regular customer. He is dealer for posters. He sent it to me, this one. He don't know what is it, because on top of these posters, another posters been mounted.
Oh, so these posters would come in with maybe 3 or 4 or 5 posters stacked on top of each other?
Yes, absolutely.
So when a new film came out, they just pasted a new poster on top of it?
And the time, yes.
So this is like a little treasure hunt.
Absolutely right.
You never know what you're going to find.
Yes.
I assumed a poster's value would increase after Igor got his hands on it, but I was blown away by just how much it can skyrocket. For example, he showed me a King Kong poster he was working on. Someone had cut along the edge of Kong's head, mounted him on cardboard, and made a silly stand-up out of him. Using a photo of the original for reference, Igor was ready to bring the poster back to its original splendor and turn a tidy profit for its owner. Now, so how much would this poster be worth right now? What's it worth?
It's sold. This poster has been sold like a cardboard, mounted cardboard, in the Christie auction last December in New York. What I remember, that's $4,500.
$4,500.
Yes.
Now, when you're through with it, how much will it be worth?
Oh, 50,000.
Oh!
Yes.
Here, okay, let me put this down.
Toward the end of our visit, Eager was eager to talk about various methods he's devised to separate stacked posters. But it was time for this newly converted poster lover to skedaddle.
If like this one coming, you know, it's needed try, not exactly working for this one, needed try so many liquids, or maybe steam, maybe water, I don't know. What he do?
Author Jack Williamson is one of the grand old masters of science fiction. 6 decades and nearly 50 novels ago, Jack got his start writing short stories for the popular anthology Amazing Stories.
When I started, Amazing Stories was the only science fiction magazine which paid half a cent a word when they were inclined to pay, and I was very lucky that it wasn't a better market because I was able to sell stories to it, because the professional writers generally didn't know any science in the first place, and they wouldn't work for that in the second place, so it made an opening.
It's very nice to meet you, Mr. Williamson. I've been reading your books for years.
Well, thanks. It's wonderful to have a reader.
Williamson's earliest impressions were shaped by the harsh landscapes of his youth in New Mexico.
When I discovered my first copies of Amazing Stories with space travel and time travel and new inventions and whatever, well, this was an escape from sort of humdrum, difficult, depressing environment into dreamland, and I've been living there ever since.
Though life was often hard in the West, Jack says the pioneer spirit and tradition was a great source of inspiration for his latest novel, Beachhead. But the idea for this futuristic tale, which chronicles the first attempt to plant a human colony on Mars, was also sparked by a visit to Oracle, Arizona.
It was all inspired by a visit to Biosphere 2, which is a very ambitious and interesting project. What excited me about it was that I found that most of the people there regarded it as a sort of pilot project for the first habitat on the moon or on Mars, and it struck me it would be interesting to write a novel about how it might happen, making it as realistic and plausible as I could.
The characters in Beachhead are motivated for their mission by a simple dose of human curiosity.
We knew what was on top of Everest, but still people wanted to climb it and get there, and my Martian explorers have a similar motivation. They want to go there just because it's there.
After researching his book with NASA atlases and surface studies, Williamson felt he came to know the planet Mars on a personal level.
By the time I lived there a year writing the story, I felt at home on the surface of Mars, and it is a fascinating place, though it affords all sorts of difficulties to colonization, and the rewards of colonizing it are sort of nebulous, so I had to invent a shower of rich metal meteors to make it worth going back and starting a sort of gold rush on Mars.
Though he claims he's had a fear of running out of story ideas for 60 years now, Jack's imagination is burning brighter than ever.
I've been able to spend my life doing what I wanted to do, which I regard as making me a very fortunate individual.
His many fans no doubt consider themselves just as fortunate as Jack Williamson. We're back at San Francisco, the site of this year's World Science Fiction Convention. At night, fans who are trying to get a future Worldcon to come to their city throw parties to woo voters. During the daytime, lobbying goes on full time in the exhibit area.
Hey!
Come to Atlanta for the 1998 World Science Fiction Convention.
Oh, like this guy. Now, this is a representative trying to get us to come to Atlanta in 98, right?
That's right. We're bidding for the United Worldcon to be voted on in 1995.
He's doing more than bidding. He's cajoling and politicking.
That's right. We're trying to convince people by buttons, by T-shirts, by everything.
You got it. Atlanta in 98. But
Right.
the people in St. Louis say come to meet you in St. Louis, right? Maybe we'll do that. Also, we have San Antonio. What year do you want us to come?
1997.
97?
House of Alamo crackers.
Oh, see, trying to buy Worldcon off with some animal crackers. Is it working? Alamo crackers. San Antonio, I get it. Can I have these?
Yes.
Okay. I'll plug into Portland. They must have gone home. How about Niagara Falls? When do you want Worldcon?
98.
In 98. You think you'll get it?
Sure.
Do you have anything to offer me? I'll talk to the Worldcon people. Give me something.
Yes, our
I'm leaning.
affection.
You're on affection? I got crackers from San Antonio. Go San Antonio. While the lobbying goes on, voting takes place for the 1996 Worldcon site. Next year, the event will be held in Winnipeg, Canada. It'll be called Con-Adian. In 2 years, Worldcon will be hosted by fans in Scotland.
Come to Glasgow, Scotland in 1995 for the 53rd World Science Fiction Convention.
And for 1996, the winning bidder is Anaheim, California. It'll be named LA Con 3, the third time the convention will visit Los Angeles. It has been a blast here at Worldcon in San Francisco. I've had a great time, but now I must go on into the universe and discover other things for you. Yeah, that's right, just for you, here on Sci-Fi Buzz. See you next time.